the process of doing my work. So it starts with here's what happens. You get an idea about something you might want to communicate because it's about communication. And what I usually end up doing is walking around my house, my studio house / apartment, whatever you want to call it. I just walk around and I live with the idea. Like let's say I want to tell a story about the lady across the street and how for years she was mean, and then I was nice to her mother, and at the end of her mother's life, I took care of her, and then when their dog died in the basement, and she didn't, and it was dead for 3 days, and I had to bury the dog. Okay, that's a story, right? And it's not something it's just things that happen. So I always go to what I'm sure of, because I know what happened, and I know the details of what happened, and I remember the bits that I can draw, literally, physically pull out of of what happened to make it real. The street scene, the dead dog. These are things I know how to draw. So, but then what you have to do is figure out how you're going to organize that. How am I going to put these parts together? Well, that's where the walls of my house come in handy, because slips of paper are great, and I do have slips of paper, but then I have a bunch of slips of paper, and then, the window's open, or I put a book on top of it or something, and they get distracted. So I literally take a pencil, and I write on the wall. I start writing maybe kind of shaping it on the wall. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I'll put a piece of paper on the wall and write, but there's always, I have to have instant access to getting the ideas out. And then from there, I make sure I get the sequence in such a way, because the story you're going to set up to the punchline. You got to figure out what's the high point of the story, what am I trying to do, all right? The next thing is to figure out how many panels or pages, like the pacing of it. Like I'll get this done in let me just a 5-page story. Or somebody will say, can you do like a 3-page story for me, or a 10-page story for a magazine or something, So thing with comics is there's an end to it. You're limited. So you're going to do it in so many pages, or it's going to be shaped in such a way. And then you figure out what's essential and how to set it up so that you can get to the end. Because at the end, you're done. You told your story. All right, so then the next thing is to figure out, with comics you have words and pictures. So the words are the narrator's voice. I'm going to tell you the story. But then the characters in the panels have a function of expression. So how they're going to speak, what they're going to say, what maybe inanimate objects, how they can convey meaning, and juggling all that together so that each panel conveys the specifics of what you need to say in order to communicate the story. Then you just get your ruler out and you draw the panels, or you don't get your ruler out, or however you want to organize. For me, I love setting up the architecture of the page with a ruler, because it's like as I'm putting the ruler lines down and making the shape, the architecture of the page, it helps me to understand where things are going to go and how I'm going to place things into the different places on the page. Then it's pencil time. So you pencil out the words. I always start with the words, and pencil out the images and put them together, work out the compositions. Then you get the page, what's called a tight pencil. Now, it's tight pencil, go back in, look at it, and decide, I don't need to have that there, or maybe I'll change this a little bit, so you make your adaptations. Some people do roughs. I can't work from a rough. I have to work from a pretty tight pencil, because I need to be told what to do with my ink line, because ink lines are permanent. Then I ink. Get out the bottle of ink. If it's going to be in color, you start with washes, and then you do... I'm known for exponentially making things difficult by using multiple colors and I'll have 7 types of black that I'll use, like a soft brownish black, to harsh, cold black, and each one of those lines will interpret a mood. oh my God, this lady's crazy. But then you put the ink down and you do the lettering, you do the word balloons, and then you get the thing. You just sit there and you just ink. And you eat bowls of cereal at the drawing. You're just doing it. It's just tedious, and you're by yourself with crappy TV shows and dogs and crappy food and dishes piling up. Because at this point you're in it and you got to get it done. And then you're done. And then you scan it.